Drag sprints. You see them on the internet everywhere, and I figured that we should really kind of take a second to give a little bit of advice to younger kids on how to execute this properly, or even dads, because I'm seeing all these videos on Instagram, and it seems like there's some very consistent problems. So let's break down a drag sprint, tell you why it's good, and then tell you what not to do to make sure you get the best results. Overall, a drag sprint's very easy. You need some kind of an object like ballistic bands, put 2 of them together, and then you'll have a long enough resistance applied to that athlete so that they can still run. You could also use victory ropes. Victory ropes are very strong, but basically you want to get an item that is very, very strong so that it doesn't stretch. A resisted sprint, you're trying to hold them back. Do not use an acceleration-based tool for this. There's not enough resistance in it. You want to be able to anchor that athlete. We'd use ropes if you could, but let's be honest, you'll get rope burn, okay? So there's a lot of options out there for you to use. The key things to remember: too much resistance is not a good thing. The athlete in the front needs to be on the balls of their feet, and they need to have a good forward tilt with great arm action. I've been seeing a lot of videos where people are holding the band when they run, or they're kind of just super tight because they're running through resistance. If you're heel-toe striking, that is not what we're doing. Drag sprints are designed to give you stride length. The more you run, the more you develop power through resistance.
So you want a fair distance. It's not just a 10-yard sprint.
Yeah, if you're at a 10-yard point, it kind of gets a little bit too close. You're really starting to get into the exercise. Generally about 7 to 15 yards, you're really getting where you want to go. If you're more advanced, that position could be stretched a little bit, but drag sprints overall are probably going to cap around 40 yards, and they're going to be somewhere in between there. So if you are new to this exercise, I'd highly recommend at least running 20 yards. If you're a younger kid, 15 is probably fine. And if you're more advanced, take it up around 40 yards and use a little bit less resistance. I think the major thing that I see on all these videos is way too much resistance applied. You got to remember that running form is key to speed. So if you're going to anchor someone down, I just don't understand where everyone's coming across thinking that this is going to develop speed when you are anchoring the athlete so much that their movements are completely slow.
I don't think the assister should be leaning back and pulling. So how about how far away? Meaning you got a ballistic band, is it long enough, or how far should you two be apart?
So generally you want to have at least enough room, obviously, for the athlete's feet to be able to drive out from behind them. So a doubled ballistic band, each one is 41 inches plus 41 inches. That's pretty tight. That's pretty okay. The victory ropes are going to be about the same way. So whatever you're choosing to do, make sure that you've got about 4 or 5 feet in between you so that you don't get tangled up with your feet. But the rear anchor should not be laying on the rope so much that the athlete can't move forward. The anchor should be watching the athlete, making sure that they're turning over quickly, extreme acceleration through their feet, powerful arms, and if at any time you've applied enough resistance or fatigue sets in to where the athlete begins moving significantly slower, the distance either needs to be shorter or the repetition needs to be done.
I think you need to really understand that and pay attention to what the athlete's doing if you're in the anchor position, and get a feel for it. I think once you do it for a while, you'll be okay. But sometimes when athletes do it, they're not paying attention.
Yeah, it's a simple thing. More is always better, but more isn't always better. You want to make sure that you're doing exercises like this in a structured format. You don't want to do 20 to 25 repetitions, because I tell you, if you're anchoring properly and you're running the correct amount of distances, about 8 of these will take it out of you. You might be puking in a trash can if you're running 15 of these things if you're doing them right. But overall, those are the key things. You want to make sure that the athlete in the front runs on the balls of their feet, uses fast arms, and is turning over quickly through resistance. And at any point in time when they slow down, repetitions over. Apply less resistance next time if you want to go a longer distance like that 40-yard point. But overall, those would be the general tips. Make sure that you apply enough resistance, but not too much to ruin all of the running form, or you're defeating the whole purpose.
I think maybe you have to lean back a little bit just because of the forces. But
sure.
Again, you're not, like, all right, I'm going to make sure you don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's not a punishment exercise. You're not trying to show the athlete that they can't move at all if you want them to. That's not going to do it. So a lot of times you'll see this type of too much anchor is normally when you're doing partner work and the athletes are working together. You kind of just stick it to the other guys, stick it to the yeah, which is all fine and dandy. But if you want to utilize drag sprints for speed, you have to mimic the explosiveness required to run at your fastest. So please feel free, utilize drag sprints. Make sure you're doing them right. Get the right tools to do it. Head to kbandstraining.com if you need any more tips on these types of exercises. I've got, 1,000, 1,200 drills or something. Check out the podcast. Hit the subscribe button, maybe even the like if you like the video. Have a great day.